We're back at it again with another cryptid video, this time from Hawaii. These are the Menehune people. They're real tiny, like 2 feet tall. They're from Hawaiian mythology. They're said to live in like forests and hidden valleys, that kind of stuff. And their favorite food is supposed to be bananas and fish. So I drew this dude with a banana, because I thought that's easier to draw than a fish. And it was! So, these were just kind of people. Like, they had temples and roads and houses and canoes and stuff that they built. And according to legend, some of the structures still exist. And, craftsmanship is evident. Now, this may or may not be just a group of people that were there before the Tahitian settlers. And then, when they got there, they were considered commoners. Menehune is thought to come from the word Manahune, from the Tahitian language. Tahitian? I don't know, but supposedly that's where that came from, where they were just kind of there, and then they were kind of, kicked out, and then they started living in mountains and valleys and forests. And it's just, they're real tiny. There's a lot of examples of these in popular media, like, for example, Scooby-Doo, specifically Aloha Scooby-Doo. I think they were in Moana, but anyways, here's this. Next up is the Idaho Bear Lake Monster. This is, from the pictures and artist renditions, there's no pictures. It's just an alligator with, webbed hands. I'm not sure if alligators have webbed hands, actually. But this started in, 19th century by Mormon colonizers. And it's considered a tourist attraction. The last sighting supposedly was in 2007. It's 40 feet long, and it's got real short and strong legs. It sort of does the thing as the slide rock bolter, where it just kind of lies in wait and then attacks. This one, the Bear Lake Monster actually takes you back into the lake and drowns you and strangles you, I think. So, yeah. Sort of blitz attack style. It's sort of grayish-green with the head of an alligator. I think I made him more green than gray, but that's fine. So, shows up occasionally. Some of these drawings do just look like a naked mole rat. And I guess good for him. So he actually has shown up in a couple, shows, specifically Animal Planet's Lost Tapes. And, yeah, apparently Pecos Bill fought him for a couple days, until he defeated it. But, he showed up in 2007, so what's the real story? Anyways, this is the Bear Lake Monster. Next up is our third Bigfoot-adjacent monster. It's turning out that I do one every video, but that's fine. This is the Farmer City Monster. So this fool hangs out in Illinois. He's actually pretty short for a Bigfoot-adjacent monster. He's 4 or 5 feet tall, which is a funny story because the teens that first saw him were he was 4 or 5 feet. He was a foot above the grass, and it runs away on 2 feet. And then when the city folk, campers or whatever, people who lived in the area went on another manhunt for this fool, they were there's no way this dude is 5 feet. So he's short, and he's gray fur, he's got bright red eyes, and that sort of shine in the dark. So he doesn't really do much, he just kind of rustles around, and that seems to be a common theme. But anyways, here's the Farmer City Monster. Next up is the Crawfordsville monster from Indiana. Now this fool is kind of a tragic tale with no end, supposedly. So this is a big snake thing with fins and spikes and stuff. And it's got a big red eyeball surrounded by 3 jaws with tons of teeth. So this is like a cyclops floating thing. This is the second alleged alien after the, Fresno Nightcrawler. So this fool is just kind of like floats. For the second appearance is when it started like writhing and, moving around in pain and started making like whining noises. So this fool was in pain at the second appearance, and from what I can tell, there was not a third. So he may have just died. We're not entirely sure why, but it was like 300 feet in the air, so it's hard to like get a stethoscope up there. So he does have some feathery protrusions, which are kind of like fins, and I didn't want to render them out very hard, so I just kind of drew squiggles, and this fool was like in the 1800s, 1891. Here's the Indiana Crawfordsville monster. Next up is the Van Meter Visitor. Woo! This fool's from Iowa in like 1903. He showed up for a week and then disappeared. It's like a weird half-human, half-animal with wings. Maybe bat? It has giant bat wings. And it fires laser beams from its forehead, Pretty regular for cryptids. That was a joke. It didn't come off as one. So it stinks real bad. And that was, important enough to put in the description of this thing. So, stinky, bat, human, laser beams. So he showed up and a couple of locals tried to shoot at him. And it didn't really do anything, so they kind of banded together, formed a posse, chased it to an abandoned coal mine, where they found 2 just kind of hanging. And they both, flew further into the mine and disappeared, and they have never been seen since. So, what? These townsfolk just found weird giant bats with laser beams coming out of their foreheads, shot at them, chased them into a coal mine, and never saw them again. And that's just wild. So anyways, the Indiana Van Meter Visitor.